So, this was my very brief introduction, and now I'm really curious and excited to hear your talk about the project Minority Report and what you are doing with speculative design. Welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Oh, hello, everybody. I'm flattered. So many people showed up here and not hanging around the beach or a beer garden. So, fantastic. Great. So I was asked to hold a talk about what's written there, dimensions of the intercultural project Minority Report 20. Too boring. So I changed the talk a bit, and I will tell you about 7 sensors and a toaster, whatever that means. If you agree with that we do something else, we're not talking about Minority Report all the time, better see and watch some toasters. It's hot enough to do so. Okay, so basically, this project is about speculative design. So I'm not very sure how much you know already about speculative design, so I'll give you a very, very brief introduction. So it's not a lesson. It's just a thing to catch up probably a bit. So speculative design is, this one's not working pretty. Here we are. So you know, as almost ready educated designers, you've heard about advertising design, probably. So this is a very, very, very simple way of design because you have a product or a topic to talk about, selling chocolate bars or cars or other needful things. You have a target group. You know people who to talk to. You have a market, and you have a target to reach. Quite simple. And what you use as a design process, you use communication strategies. You might have heard about double diamond things, 360-degree branding, whatever. Then we got some other design parts, product design. Well, obviously, there is no product. This is a thing we have to design. But we still have a target group. We still have a market where our product should be successful. And a fabulous tool for product design is design thinking. I think most of you probably have done design thinking before. And to talk about speculative design, you see, well, yeah, it's no product. There is no target group because the people we want to object to are not even born yet. So we can't have interviews. And we are not producing our ideas for a market, we're producing our ideas for the society. And therefore, we left the very military style wording, and we are looking for a purpose. So we got 2 axes here, 2 things we don't know, but for that we got the bloody market and the bloody target out of our communication, which are very much alike. So basically, this is the difference between 3 types of design. You can add more if you like. Come on. So, speculative design, we are dealing with time. So we have target groups which are not yet born. And we here have a very simple graph of design that means, we are here. And time is going that direction. I think there are no physicists in this room. They will say, come on, it might be a bit more wavy, but for us, it's fine to say it's linear. And then we have things that might happen. So we got those cones here. So the outer cone says, well, impossible won't happen. Things won't happen in this area. And then we have a smaller area where things are possible. They might happen. Not quite realistic, but possible. Plausible is the next one. And probable is most likely to happen. And then we got the linear thing here. This is the projected future. This is when you think linear. This is when you do normal projects in companies. That means they are very successful. So companies do projects in a linear way. They are to 100%, 400% successful if you got 100% of the relevant data. But the chances to get 100% of the relevant data tends to 0. That's why we designers don't wait for all the data, we start designing in circles. We'll tell you about that later. And then you see another cone, this one here, this orange yellowy thing. This is a preferable future. This is a future we want. This is not a future who thinks about what's most likely to happen. This is a future where we say, the life would be better if we go for that future. So the easy way to describe this is we're looking for utopia. But utopia is a very romantic word. I'm not that romantic guy, so I try to explain it to you by doubling these codes. And now we have back and forth. So here is history. And that means those cones can double. The far back you go in history, the more unprecise, the more uncertain you get. So it's quite easy to think, okay, what made you go here today? I don't like beaches. It's too hot outside. I've got no friends. Got nothing else to do, so there are reasons for it. Quite easy, quite understandable. If you go back for last month, things are getting complicated. If you go back for 10 years, the cone gets wider, wider, wider. So at the very end of it, when you say here a few thousand years, no one has a clue. And the most correct clue is probably something about evolution, which is a complicated thing. And obviously too complicated for a lot of people nowadays. So what they do is, at the end of it, when it's getting too complicated, they find simple answers. Mostly you find religious providers, gods, etc. Mostly old white men who said, I've created in 6 days, 7 days, whatever they have. Some other people say, no, scientists, there was a big bang. I, for myself, believe there is a turtle at the beginning, and this turtle standing on 2 or 4 white elephants. So nobody has a fucking clue what's going on there in the past. Everything you say and say, there could be a god, there could be a turtle, there could be a big bang, gives you information about the speaker and not about the situation really happened there. And the strange thing is, we have in history a preferable history as well. Stories we like to tell. Like, caveman. Caveman went out and hunting saber tigers or mammoths or whatever, and his wife is standing at home caring for the kids and standing in the kitchen doing things like that and can't be sportive or anything else. And we still believe that crap. We still live in a society where people stand up in politicians and parliaments and say, because caveman was hunting mammoths, we deny fully human rights for women. This is a fucking, sorry for that. This is a terrible story. We still tell our kids. We tell the women. We dare to tell the women. Strange enough. So you see, we have preferable histories, and they're not very good. So I can't remember a positive one, actually, today. And speculative design, we want to change that. We don't want to be artificial intelligent machines. Because artificial intelligence machines are reproducing the past data. They swallow all the data here, everything that's happened, through the filter of the programmer, which is mostly a white male, mostly a white American male. And so the data in there, reproduced, projected for the future, I think there is not very much to expect from that. Not very much positive things. So we think, as speculative designers, we should do better. We should find other futures. We don't want those futures projected from the past. We don't want to think like artificial intelligent machines, which is quite obvious that we don't want to do it because we are designers. And probably there's no profession in the world getting hit by artificial intelligence than we do as designers. It will, in fact, break down, make disappear a lot of parts of design, print design, advertising design. All those classical things, they will probably disappear, at least they will change a lot. And there will be no jobs for us anymore. So it's a good idea to follow that idea. And I will tell you later why I'm so positive about that there are good jobs to find. So what we basically do is we are not projecting the future. We are not going linear ways. So here's the data, and from that data on we say this is going to happen. Now we're going to find scenarios. That means we are not going here in a linear straight way. We're looking for the unknown fields. We are looking for very little slightly signals. That means things that are already going on somewhere in a laboratory, or you find out in a very off-site newspaper. And we're looking for those little hints and pick them up, and then we accelerate them. And we say, what will happen if our future will be bright and shiny, or what will happen to them if we live in a neo-feudalism system like we have in the USA at the moment? What will happen to this little idea? Or we go through it and say, what will happen if we miss the 1.5 degree aim of global warming? How would this little idea will develop? And of course we do the same thing with our jobs as designers. What will happen with them? Basically, that is all about you actually should know for speculative design. So we are not linear, we are not machines. We try really hard to stay human and find human ideas, human futures. And to do so, we need to find those tiny little signals. And if they're bigger, so 2 people do it, or 3 people do it, when 5 people do it, it's a trend. Yeah, so those small, weak signals, and to find those signals, we need sensing systems. We need to monitor them. We have to find them. And those are the 7 sensors I brought today, and they all have to do with you as students. Not as much as another linear method, it's more about thinking. So this is my first sensing system. I want you to panic. And I think every one of you have seen this, particularly seen at the World Economic Forum. And Greta was a fantastic sensing system because she read all the data. She understood the data, and she and her friends had an idea about the future to come. And they were clever enough and they were strong enough to go to the most important meeting in the World Economic Forum in Davos. And she spoke up there. And to me, a very, very good speech. And in an ideal world, everyone would say, oh yeah, you did right. Let's change things. Let's do things the other way around. But what happened? Do you see any changes? Do you see anyone panicking? Do you see anyone doing bloody anything? So what you got an answer was a whole bunch of mansplaining and a whole bunch of things like, oh, come on, kid, let the professionals do it. And then they took a selfie, and off you go. So this sensor didn't work. Perfect story, perfect timing, perfect speech, no impulse. Nothing happened. At least not enough. So I don't want to be that negative. So I try to understand why this didn't work, and probably we can discuss it. And the first thing I want to introduce to you is an average CV. Probably a boomer stream. But this is the thing you more or less expect. If you're a boring person, probably like that, put it that way. So you entered the university last year. Any newbies here, last year entries? Who entered 24? You're older than that. Okay. Okay, they are 24. Yeah, you just saw. It's your CV. It's your CV. Might be your possible CV. So you will graduate in about 4 years, probably. Take your time. Don't be that fast. Then we will start a career, probably on self-employment. Young students like that. You have projects. That means having project, having no money. But probably you're clever enough and start in an agency somewhere. Maybe you think about marriage. Maybe you think of having kids. And you're getting older and older. Probably you plan for the education of your kids. So you're in the situation of your parents now. And you repeat that, and probably you reach the retirement age and enjoy it. This is more or less what a CV looks like, or looked like. But now something else is happening. This is one of the data Greta had. That means by 2070, 90% of the human climate niche, that means the places where human life is possible. Not like today outside, which is quite close, where I say, oh no, I'm off the niche. No, really off the niche. You can't go out and breathe. 19%. And this is a very conservative numbers. So see this picture. And you still might not say, okay, what else has that to do with my life? Take a look at the CV when this will happen. Well, I think for till 2030, everything is quite the same. But then, 2034, and I think we're faster than this. We will have it in a few years. We will reach the 1.5 extreme weather events disrupt energy and food systems all over the world. This will happen in a few years. And I don't have to use my crystal ball to find out it. You all know the data. You all have seen them. That means your career will change. You have to decide, you can't live in the world in any places anymore. You have to choose. Probably you have to be mobile. Definitely when this happens, no one is interested in print magazines anymore. Or static websites. All this old crap will be done and over. And probably your whole family starts on the move, finding nice places to live. Because you will see that even in Europe, you will find places where you can't live anymore, where nothing grows anymore. So people are moving. And then we'll see in 2050, when this first event happens, over here, it's quite clear that a few years later we will have 260 million climate refugees. And you can't let them drown in the Mediterranean Sea anymore. There are too many. You can't build walls. There are too many. All those reactionary concepts of building walls, they will fall down like in a bad zombie movie, where every wall will break down at the end of the film. This will happen to us in 2050, so we need other concepts. Walls is not a concept. And probably when you think about having a daughter or kids, so it's probably not in a hospital, you know, like now. Probably it's down to an energy breakdown. And probably we can't afford education systems anymore like we have. And thinking about retirement, you must be very optimistic when you think that you will have a pension or a retirement money. Forget about it. It won't be there. And if you live long enough to 2070 and the facts or the data of the screen I saw before, we will reach +5. And +5 means every aspect of life is destabilized. My point is, and ask yourself, is that a CV you want to have? I think this CV is most likely to happen. It's much more realistic than the boring one I told you before. How about panicking? Is that a thing you find a bit more touchy than, oh, my house is on fire? So what we did here, coming back to design, that means when you want to convince people to think about another alternative future, be sure, as a designer, communication design, build a personal connection. This is probably the first mistake Greta did when she had her "I want you to panic" speech. And we got this, when we open up the newspaper or a news block, it's not touching us. Oh, those climate thing will be taking place somewhere else. Not in my living room, not in my fridge. Other people. Okay, so this is the first point speculative design has to take in mind, or a speculative designer has to take in mind. Be personal. Sensing system 2, a black screen. So I brought something for you here. That means, and there's some other ones over there. Some more, it's like Camilla. Here you are. Anyone got hurt? No, because you're humans. That's a good thing. You can react on those stuff. And the funny thing that you can react on this stuff is that you use a special area in your brain. You were not calculating. You didn't use your forehead, where you normally get your logical processes, your thinking, calculation, language. If you would use this part of your brain, you would sit there and say, ah, there's this weird guy throwing things at me and it's coming up with the speed of patch. No way, you can't catch it. When you try to catch a ball and you start thinking, you won't catch it. You can't even walk when you try to think, how can I, what? Yeah, you will fall down. It won't happen. So you must have used something else in your brains. And this is the biggest part you have in your brains. This is your, I think German is called Großhirn. For the English one is the mammal brain. So you get three kinds of, to make it simple, three kinds of brains in your head. One is the very, very old one. It's called the reptile brain. It's probably in your back head. And this is for the things like breathing, heart ticking, stuff like that. And it's for running away, playing dead, or being aggressive. So very, very easy one. I told you about the brain that you have in your forehead. I lost the English word for it. I will come back later with it. The cortex, the neural cortex on your front is like a bathing cap on the rest of your brain. And the rest of your brain is your big brain, your mammal brain, where you can deal with pictures. This is Konrad Lorenz, the one with the goose here. He once quoted, in your main brain, your mammal brain, you have pictures. He used a verb for that. Es bildert. And this allows you to catch things. And the good thing is, this mammal brain is the biggest brain you have in your head. So you can do a lot with it. Unfortunately, our brain, especially the mammal brain, is a bloody lazy bone. It will always try to return to a homeostatic or a standby position. It will go down because you use a lot of energy. So our brains go down, not noticing things, being there, do nothing, staring at your smartphone. People who are in this homeostatic mode, they don't use very much more than about 10% of their brains. To find new ideas, you need your complete brain. And your brain is not a thing you just carry around. It's a fabulous tool. You can do a lot of things with it. It's fun. All the fun you have in life comes from your brain. Use it. And your brain starts working when you get out of those breakout sessions. You start to get disrupted by it. And disruption is a funny thing because it makes you laugh. And laughing is not just a social, cultural thing we have in between. When you start laughing, or your brain gives you the impulse that your muscles work into laughing, your brain is working. And obviously, we love to have our brains working. It's fun. We start laughing. And the disruption is the point we are looking for. And this old guy said it in a better word, but I won't get too deep in those Israeli philosopher, let's put it that way. But learning begins with a disruption. Wake up, says your brain. So we've got a second list, the second point on our list, because we want to be designers soon. When you design things, design disruptions. Design things that flow to people's heads and make them laugh. And don't go away with something less. Then you definitely don't have your best design. Your best design makes people think, and when you want to make people think, you have to make them laugh, make them happy. People who panic don't think. They're using their small reptile brain. And this is not a thing you can use for making plans. This is just panicking. Okay, sensing system 3, so we're halfway through. No, a bit forward. So, a radar screen. You must have seen them, at least in movies. A radar screen. This is one from the 50s, I guess. But I like the things on there because I have no clue what they're scanning for. Strange enough. I think this could be a shopping bag or something. I don't know. They're scanning, and you know them, and what they're scanning for is things you already know. They are scanning for their assumptions, for the known unknowns. That means this radar screen scans for flying objects, which have a typical size, a typical speed, a typical height. And you assume that there will be aeroplanes flying in this range. Everything which is not in this range, a radar will not see. And the thing I want to say here is that we tend to use radars. We tend to use our searching field and program it like, oh, we have to look for planes. We have to look for flying metals. And we are totally lost when an unknown flying object will come around, because it's probably not made of metal. And it's probably faster, or slower, or bigger, or smaller. The radar won't see it. And this is probably the first thing we can be optimistic about. Most companies are trying to deal with uncertainties with installing radars. They're looking for the most fearful thing in economics is disruption. Every company fears disruption. And they spend a lot of money to build up radar screening things to avoid disruptions. Good thing for us designers, because when you see a disruption as a process that sets all the rules of the past out of order. This is a disruption they are scanning for. It's the same interpretation you can use for innovation. It's a process that will set all the rules of the past out of order. And the good thing is that companies who will or are actually in transformation processes, they are looking for designers. And again, they're not looking for designers who can do a perfect website. Too expensive. Get a machine there. They're not using for designers to design a perfect logo. For what? So they're looking for designers who see other things coming. They're looking for designers who are probably more like my Sense and System 4, probably more like a smoking toaster. Because a toaster, well, it's definitely not so precise as a radar screen. But a toaster which burns your toast gives you another kind of signals. They'll give you signals which are not cold, which are not distant, which are not abstract. You smell them. You smell them, and it's directly input. It's not that, oh, there's a screen, and this little dot stands for something else. No, the toaster stands for itself, and it smells. And it's very close to home, very close to you, very close to your own experiences. It doesn't need a screen. It doesn't need scan for threats, just burns. Quite a simple thing. And, well, yeah, it's probably quite bad at getting the fire alarm silent. But it's very close to me, and it's definitely different to a radar station. And let's go a bit deeper in that. Opa, come on. So, just said here, like the radar-based futures will give us data-based information. The known unknown, we should embrace the toaster. Because the toaster asks, what if the future is something else than a thing we detect? Probably it's a thing we smell. We get to know by our senses. What if the future would be something we can co-create? And What if the future is described not by a marketing trend, probably by a quite simple and uncomfortable prototype? So a smoking toaster is not a thing you like. You don't want to have it in your home, but it irritates you, it provokes you. So look for artifacts as designers that are a bit weird, a bit off things, provoking the future, not just saying, not fortune telling, oh, the future will be like that, that. No, give them toasters, give them things to think about. And here you can see our third one and fourth one, using the senses for the prototypes. Also a thing Greta did not in her speech. She didn't brought some toast. She didn't throw Snickers bars in the audience. And now I have a question to the students here, and Sensing System 5. So what do you think? Who is the most annoying student for the professor? Please don't point at fingers. just think about it. Just think about it. Who is the most annoying student? You picked one? You have an idea? Okay, probably it's a student who asks questions the professor can't answer, off syllabus. Probably it's a student who doesn't write deep reflective essays, building prototypes. And like, here, Mr. Professor, here it is. Deal with it. Give me an answer on my prototype, not on your thoughts which I am supposed to reflect and repeat and write it down. And yeah, come on, burn the toast on purpose. Don't repeat things. So I think you guessed already, I see you as students as a sensing system. When you're a radar student, well, yeah, you scan for things that are expected. You will ask things like, what will be there in the exam? And I tell you, this is the most annoying thing you can do to a professor. So like standing here for an hour and speaking your head off and have the best presentation you ever did and really got taken away with it. And the first question comes, will that be in the exam? This is most likely to kill professors, definitely. The suicide rate goes up with that, definitely. So better ask, oh, can I do something else? This is boring. Yeah? So don't follow the map. Burn it, throw it away, make a new map. We want students to be annoying, to be a really pain in the ass. Really ask us this question, because when you follow up the data of the past, you're a radar student. There is no innovation, there is no creativity, it's just repeating what has been there before. And when you follow your professors, sorry for the people who are here, you will just repeat what they thought. And look at me, I'm 60, so my best time are long over. My brilliant thoughts are long over. Don't repeat my old ones. Make your own. You have a brain, don't follow the map. So this is our message to you for today, actually. So burn a few ideas. Be a sensor. Okay, so be provocative, design provocations. Everything else which is not a provocation, it's boring, it's not talking to the people, it's of non-interest. And probably you get paid for it. Yeah, okay, this could be a reason. Or you're copying things. Provoke is one part, rest is copying. Sensum 666, sensing system 6. Let's talk about ducks and rabbits. And I would like to invite you to another game. So you see these little squares here. So imagine there's a place where it's like, okay, the future will be bright and shiny, and the opposite side, obviously, the future will be dark. Left, I can't do anything about it. And the other one, yes, I can change the future. Where would you put yourself? Imagine this is a space, a room, and you can stand there. Where would be your position? Got an idea? By and large? Okay, so I scan it. Send me all the information. And I think, by and large, this was your ideas. And I think, so who was this? Who got this position there? This one here? No one this position? Okay, there's one. Yeah, okay. What was the reason for you? Why did you choose this position?
Because I have no idea what's going to happen.
You don't have an idea what's going to happen. Okay, that's a good, fair enough point. Let's look for other points. Anyone here? Who says the future will be dark? I can't do anything about it and I'm going to hurt myself. No one here? So what was your position?
Yeah, well...
What was your position?
That was you.
You could point it. This? Yeah? On Mondays.
On Mondays. That's my Monday position. Yeah, that's my Saturday night position.
Okay.
It's everything bright and shiny, but...
So you changed. So the reason, what's the reason for the dark moments?
Depends on the perspective, I think, on the future. No?
Okay.
If I rather emphasize the problems that are to come or the chances,
Yeah. Okay.
which depends on Monday or Saturday.
Okay, that means
or other aspects.
the deeper you look, the more depressed you get.
Well, if I think about the CV or the data you showed us, if I really deal with this data and take it for granted, or
And then it's Monday for the whole week.
it's, yes, a lot of Mondays.
Okay. Right, so let's have a third one. So he's about here, the optimistic ones. Anyone here? Yeah. What was your reason to choose this position?
So I think we can change something, but also I don't really see the future completely bright and shiny or super dark. So a little more optimistic, but not completely unlikely.
Okay. Wasn't me. So going back there, so I might be too close to the camera or whatever. Okay, so we won't get to an end of a discussion here because we don't want a discussion. The thing is, when you listen to your other students, they all got reasonable points to make. Understandable, reasonable points. So there's no point in it to start a discussion like, no, I'm right, the future will be bright. No, I'm wrong. So I'm realistic because I've got all the data. This will lead us to nothing productive. So remember the duck and the rabbit. Probably all positions are right. probably all positions are a point where you can start a productive discussion. And that means, again, the future is not written in stone. The future is something you can negotiate. The future is something you can talk about when you're open-minded enough. So again, we are not talking about predictions. We are talking about negotiations. We don't have a crystal ball as designers. So don't be afraid of ambiguity. Both things could be right in the same place. Remember the same thing about, I told you about time? You can see the same thing about light. Yes, and it's a beam and it's a wave at the very same time. Deal with it. Come on, get me the next one. Okay, so our list getting longer? Our mindset list probably getting longer. So we are describing the future as something negotiable, not as something predictable. And this is my very, very last and favorite sensing theme, and now I come back quite in time to the Minority Report. And this is my student team from last year, or some of them. And as you see, they are quite international. And yes, they had fun, I guess. And the sensor is, this team brings in so many perspectives. There were 30 students in there from 12 nations. And we had our lessons in 2 different time zones. So one half is sitting in San Francisco, the other is sitting in Germany. And we had online sessions till last year. Now we raised some money so we can make some little exchanges from America to us, and even harder from from Germany to the US, which is quite a hard thing with the visa at the moment. Why are they a sensing system? Because they are toasting students. They're annoying persons because they interpret things differently. And before I give you too many words of this, let's play a little game. I invite you for a little game. It won't hurt, not very much at least. So please close your eyes for a moment. And don't worry, I will watch your bags. Close your eyes for a moment. It's not a hard thing to close your eyes for a moment. I know in 14 seconds you have to get your smartphones out, but only 7 seconds for me now. Close your eyes, and your challenge is, imagine a square. Imagine a square. For most of the designers, it shouldn't be that hard. So I think you all got your square. If you got your square, open your eyes. Control your back, is everything there? So the funny thing is, when I ask you with the sunglasses, what was your square looking like?
It was white, and it was just like the outline of the square. So no, it wasn't clear.
So it was a white outline on the background? Black. So a white outline square on a black piece. Oh yeah, I can understand.
Inspired by your presentation, probably.
Yeah, could be. Who knows? Framing. So what was your square looking like? Oh, this row. Sorry, I don't dare to go here then. So let's look at the beep again. So what was your square? Was a black full screen outline, black full screen, and a white surrounding, a white background. Okay, great. What was your screen? Your square look like?
It was lying on the ground and was looking on the fact that it was standing up, so it was
Okay.
And after some time, there was grass on the ground.
Okay, so a flat one. Great, fantastic. So the funny thing is, you all can understand the square of the other. This is a human skill. You won't find that in any other mammal. You can understand those things. And the other thing is, compare it to your square in your head. We will all have different ideas what a square could look like. I think we mostly agree that we have four sides in the same length, 90 degree. But I think probably some of you had thought about a square could be a traffic jam crossing or a marketplace. Nevertheless, I can explain my marketplace. I can make my beautiful Italian romantic square where I sit down and have a coffee, and you will understand it. That means on a very, very simple word like square, we will have in this room more than 30 interpretations of that. And this is just a square. Now think, with those bunch of people, you talk about more complex things like ambiguity, or even cultural things like sustainability. For us European, you will find sustainability on every chocolate bar, milk box, or whatever. You can't sell anything which is not sustainable in Europe anymore. Every block, cars are sustainable. When you talk to American students, sustainability is the hot shit. Oh yeah, we just discovered it, it's so great. And now try to find out a group, or imagine a group, mentioning a group, to make them understand the same word in the same way. And this makes things complicated, and yes, we designers love it. Please give us complex things. Please give us the hard nuts to chew. And this is one of the hardest nuts we have to solve in this problem, in this project. Probably, to be honest, the very, very hardest nuts to chew on is the biorhythm. Because we are in 2 different time zones. That means the American students just woke up, have their second coffee, go into the meeting, very enthusiastic, just woke up, whether the German students are at 7 o'clock at the evening. That means open the first bottle of beer, have the first glass of wine. So the biorhythms go in a totally direct other way. If you got solutions on that, please let me know. But this is the thing we really worry about. So to get my list a bit longer, the last point on it, finding those multi-perspective approaches. Get as many interesting people together for your team. Okay, what we're doing is the boring part of the presentation. Yes, we're doing for a couple of years now this cooperation with the California State University in San Francisco. And we are crazy enough, let's put it that way, to say, or to try, how can design contribute to the solution of those 17 sustainable goals of the United Nations? We don't want it smaller. So I think the biggest challenges we could find, we try, how can speculative design give some hints and contributions to that? And yes, we are doing it for a couple of years now. International teams, yes. We got mobility programs running now at the moment. Let's see how long they run with the United States. You all know, it's difficult situations. And yes, this is one of the reasons I'm here. We are planning expansion. We want to have more of those annoying students. more of international toasters, more of students who give us hell. Let's see how we can work together here. But yes, you all came for pictures and not for black screens. You came for pictures, I give you pictures. So this is one or two of the projects we did in the last time. So we invited Utopoly. And following the idea, you all know the landlord's game. Probably you know it as Monopoly, which is a very, very weak version of the original game, which was invented to explain to kids how the renting system works, how exploiting the idea of rent is. And the students picked up the idea and said, okay, we imagine a world where rapidly changes had happened. Remember the CV 2070, the world is a different one. Explain that to kids. And how could we survive in different climate zones, in different other ideas. And this is a funny idea, the tsunami energy unit. This is not the jail. There's no jail in this game. Don't go to jail. It's not a card you can choose here, or pick. But you can join the tsunami energy unit. This is a funny idea. They raise energy out of the big waves. And we've got another project there who gets closer to that idea. So they picked up two projects and mixed up a bit. So this is the game, how it looks like. It was really fun to play it. So we had it in our annual exhibition at the university, and our students made a drinking game out of it very, very soon. So within an hour, everyone was really, really pissed because it was having a drink or running around the table when you missed something out there. I didn't see very much people running. So this is a funny thing. I very much like, even though those pictures are to ChatGPT-like. This was the idea of a world with no borders anymore. Still using an ID, but there are no countries anymore, and the possibility to migrate, to have a journey or whatever, are those philatro tokens. That means if you raise energy somewhere, if you do something positive in your society, you get those tokens instead of money. Which I thought is a very interesting idea, especially when it comes from Americans. Well, to say, I mean, old enough, you would say, this is bloody anarchy. Throw away your passports. This could be straight off a punk rock song. And this is one of the features of speculative design. So if I would teach my students, okay, all the things about anarchy, and would give us all the Russians, they would say, oh no. The Americans even go away when you say socialism. Yeah? But they come back with those ideas. And I think this was very interesting to see Americans coming up with anarchic ideas without knowing that they are very anarchic. This is the world energy forces. Join the forces, and they can have seed bombs. They really have bombs. So they turned into the whole military complex into something new. Following the idea that kids, probably kids nowadays, they love to play with adventure things. They love to play former days with little soldiers, little toys, doing stuff like that, which are quite, I don't want to give my kids nowadays any little soldiers. Although I enjoyed them when I was young. Give them such a thing. Go in those climate niches, in those 90% habitats where humans can't live without equipment, and restore it, repair it. This is the idea from those global army. Oh yeah, of course we've got drones. And this is a drone, it comes from our Asian students he said, okay, we have to rethink the pharma industry. And we go back to traditional tea and roots medicine. And they said, okay, one of the problems is I can't get those teas in every place in the world. It's easier to get some pills there. So they invented this little drone, which I think is quite funny, and they actually really built one, a quite small one. No, it didn't flew. It just looked like it could be, which is fine enough for a... Shall I go back for the picture? I sent you the keynote anyway. And so they developed a whole business idea around those tea helicopters, vending machines, where the drone lands on there, replaces the medicine, and you can go on the vending machine, especially in areas where you can't see the doctor. Probably you ask the medicine man, and he gives you some teas or whatever, and this is probably the modern way of a medicine man. Here again, one of those tools we love to use is imagine newspapers from the future. And this could be a news magazine, so we got here those heroes who harvest energy from tsunamis. And this is I like this one very much. Let's waste energy. This year's energy ball ride is the biggest ever. So in this utopia, we raised so much green energy that we can celebrate these days, and we celebrate as we can waste the energy. So who can waste energy at the most? Who is the best energy waster? Imagine a future from that point on. Now we want to be energy savers, which is a quite negative future. What will be if we have so many green energy fostered that we can just throw it away, make fireworks, make whatever. You can do lots of silly things with energy. When you don't want to save it, you just burn it. Do something with it. Okay. Come on. There it is. This is another thing. Yeah, okay, you start with self-driving cars. And this time it was the tuk-tuk, which is all over Asia, a transport vehicle. And if you replace them by electric cars, this would be a great saving of energy, and pollution will go down. But you will ruin the business of all the rickshaw drivers or the tuk-tuk drivers, who will feed their families. So this team invented a very, very cheap, do-it-yourself electrical vehicle, which is, well, expected to be not very much more expensive than a tuk-tuk in our days. And the tuk-tuk driver hasn't got to drive itself anymore, but it belongs to him and not a company. So he can make an effort, or she can make an effort, of having those self-driving car, and not bloody Musk or somebody else. So they invented a new business model. The car itself is not that spectacular. But to have those microcredit paid business plan at the back of it, I think this is really a good thing. This was a little project. Yes, of course, you can turn waste into taste, recycling. You all have heard about it. But this students' team comes back with the idea that the only way you really can save energy or food is to have big canteens. Not cook for yourself anymore. Even the trend is going there that probably no one of you is really a big cooker. So warming up a pizza is probably the most thing you do. Having a canteen could help. This was an idea about fashion. So imagine a world where not the fashion label is the most wanted thing in the world. What if your upcycler label is the most wanted thing in your world? And the clothes you borrow, swap, lend, whatever, is upcycled clothes. And the designers are not for the haute couture. the designers work for upcycling new ideas. And you don't have to your own wardrobe at home. Probably you don't live in a future, you don't have the space to have a wardrobe. Pick up your stuff at the corner. Pre-order it, redesigned, reorder it, and you have like Superman's telephone box where you can change. So, coral reefs. This is the last project, so hopefully. They ask, what if we would have so many coral reefs that the ships can't drive anymore? And they said, okay, we could use the coral reefs, we can live on them, we've got so many of them, we can harvest them. And this was a very, very shocking picture for all the divers we presented to them, because they learned, never touch a coral. No, we've got so many of them, we harvest them, because we need them for industrial products, like those coral-infused water, which is very healthy, and it has in its tap a filter made of corals. And from that point on, the student team went back and said, okay, what must happen that we got so many corals to produce such taps? And they come back with business plans for diving schools, for rangers, how to make profit out of corals. And if you don't make profit out of corals, the corals will disappear. Okay, so the end of it. Last point, presenting desirable futures. Make people talk about it. Get those points in mind, and then you were able to design them. Took a photo? Yes. I always love it when people took photos for the presentation. Flatter it again. Okay, but I think, thank you, that was it. Yes, thank you. You got any questions? Left. Anyone for toast?
Yes. I shouldn't come close to you, I think, so we have another beep.
Yeah,
so, thank you very much for this very inspiring talk on many levels. It was really inspiring, actually. And I think it triggered questions. Yes, here we go.
It always sounds amazing talking about like design and better future and stuff, but I'm now at the end of my bachelor, and I'm wondering, how could you actually make money doing that?
Okay.
What's the job, or
what's the job?
Where would you go?
I think, we have a master's program at the moment running by and large those contents, and I think every student, every from 15 students got a job offer. They're not got a job offer from the usual advertising agency or design agency, not even from the typical UX company, where we normally have lots of jobs to offer. Well, we live close to SAP, so obviously they get all our programmers and coders there. But they got job offers from research companies, from companies who want to research, and they got jobs for companies who are in transformation processes. And we started with the World Economic Forum, where Greta Thunberg was speaking of. They published a job report in January. And it was very interesting for us designers, which design disciplines will raise, which will go down. But the overall thing is, you will find growth only in companies who are going through transformation processes. So the top 10 niches you can find there were a niche where professions where transformation process is happening. And when you are a designer who's able to probably follow those 6 or 5 of my points there, that means it's a mindset. It's not so much a skill. It's more like a mindset. And the industry needs and buys in people who have this mindset. Because they can, well, they have this professional view from the outside, even if they're in the company. So they got a job that's quite, I think it's quite interesting. So they have a job like a joker. So they start in this department, and they go to this department, and they go to this department. They don't have to give the boss any facts and figures at the end of the month, no KPIs. So just give reports like, those people there are doing, have you ever thought about something else? So the idea behind is that managers are not decision makers anymore. The idea grows up that managers are the guys who are asking the uncomfortable questions. So this is a different view on leadership. And yeah, I'm quite positive that this will go on for a while. And I think it's a good way to follow, because we will lose so many jobs in the classical design branch. This will be very, very hard to get any money there. The AI is one point of it, and then is the stupid idea that design is something like service. That means design is something you can buy as a haircut. Like you go to the haircutter or you go to a builder and say, okay, I want a house. The house should be 4 sides, this high, this big, 6 rooms. And the architect say, or the builder says, okay, write down service, and a number there, pay me. Those jobs are gone. This is the jobs where your client comes to you and says, I need a website, I need a poster and a logo and probably noch paint my cars. Those jobs are gone. Because a designer would ask, why the fuck do you need a logo? Why do you think you need a website? What's the reason that makes you believe I should paint your cars? That means, again, be those annoying toaster there. Ask the question, why do you think you need a logo? A service guy will not ask questions. Oh, logo, yeah, $5.60. If you got this mindset as a designer, go and drive taxi. You will get more money. You will not fill your fridge anymore. Be the guys who ask uncomfortable questions. You can do it on a small base, websites, logos, whatever, or you can do it as a more leadership base when you go into companies and say, okay, why the fuck are you doing that? So be a paid joker. Did that answer your question by and large?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, some other questions?
I can
Maybe
continue
uncomfortable
with the
ones?
next question. So first of all, thank
Yeah.
you for the talk and the chocolate. I catched one. So how do you see the future in the thingy with the bad, good, and the graph? And how did the students see the future before the master program and after the master program? Did their view change?
Yes. We actually started a study about that. So we got questionnaires before and after. So it's just the third round, so it's no reliable things, but it tends to be more positive after. So more like the feeling of self-efficiency. I can do something. Most students, when they start to go in a speculative design project, they say, no, I'm not quite sure what this is going to happen. And they got the same question marks in their faces like most of you have now. Why should I do it? But in the end of it, they said, okay, with just a small change of mindset, I come to very reliable results. When you remember the coral project, when you look at this now, it's quite weird. So corals and so many of them. But when you went through a process, you can start a discussion with every person who said, now this can't be true. Because you can go back step by step on all the things you did before and say, no, it's quite reasonable. And to have this standing with this feeling that you can have weird ideas, provoking ideas, and still be able to convince people with your ideas and not to locked away in a loony bin. So dare to be crazy, dare to be weird, dare to be thinking out of the box. I think this is what the most students make out of having 1.5 years on speculative design thing. So I think we shake their brains a bit. Yes, that's a question.
So in my bachelor thesis, I worked on kind of this question about like climate change in future and how we can experience it through film, like through also a speculative world. And I'm like wondering if it's kind of counterproductive if we think about like real positive radical innovations. I think we should do it and it's really important, but I think we should like really get aware of climate change once again.
Yeah.
Because it's like getting away in our society and so on. And I think like the hard facts you said in the beginning, it catched me like really emotionally. And I think if you work on that and maybe also on like negative futures and like dystopia and so on, maybe it even hits more. What are your experiences about that? And
I think I got your point. I think the difference between dystopia and utopia is we all know about dystopia already. So the map I showed you in the beginning, this is no news. Everyone here in this room knows about it, have read about it, heard about it, and you have seen science fiction dystopian films about it. Stupid ones like Mad Max or whatever, so they live in a desert and they are not looking for water, they're looking for petrol. How strange is that? So we know about those dystopian ideas, and there were lots of films because we love to be entertained by that. But we learned nothing. We learned nothing out of them. So I would plea for the utopian way. That means, based on the same facts, I can tell a positive, or not even positive, a provoking, disrupting story, disrupting pictures, which make people think. And obviously, we're not thinking at Mad Max. It's not for thinking. I don't know what is it for, but definitely not thinking. So it could be interesting what kind of films could be really utopian. And utopian in that kind, that doesn't mean Schlaraffenland or a very, very positive utopia is boring. Yeah, everyone is nice to each other, the climate has recovered, we live in a fabulous society like the Watchtower people. So boring. But when you find a way to find pictures which are touchy, which are going to the heart, which are provoking emotions, then you find something in the between, And I think there, in this disruption of your normal thinking, people can start to learn. You're not disrupted by Mad Max, you're not disrupted by Pippi Langstrumpf. Yeah? So there are things who happen who are expected. Do something unexpectable when you want to make people think. Be disrupted. What kind of pictures you can produce which are never been seen before? Can you use your camera another way? Upside down, don't know. Misuse it. Kick it around. Do something with it which never happened before. Right? So don't repeat the things we already know. Nothing is more boring than repeating things we already know.
Yeah, I think also there need to be like many more ways to talk about climate change, and also in different media formats. But yeah, I like my mind is always thinking like if we talk too positive about it, maybe we forget that we need to do something, and we are just like laying there and it will still work out. Maybe CO2 is put into industrial.
Yeah. No, I think if you go away with the idea that we should talk in a positive way about the future, you got me wrong.
No.
Talk about a desirable thing. Talk about things which are new, different, inspiring. Positivity is totally boring. So then the best thing you can get out of is a boring ChatGPT picture. Give me a picture of a positive urban gardening, happy scene. It's boring, only white people there, normal family types, and this is not interesting. Positivity is boring. It's a thing you expect. It's not worth for designing it. Yes?
Just a quick thought, but I think maybe it's really effective to show both sides at the same time, because a few weeks ago or something, on Instagram I got like a reel that showed or that compared our world to the world of the Hunger Games, which is also like there's the districts with the people living in pain and agony, and then there's also the capital with all the fancy stuff. And it was just a really simple edit, just with like people or war zones in Ukraine and starving people, and then at the same time Hollywood and stuff, and the music of the Hunger Games underneath it. But it was really, I was mesmerized because it's the reality, and like it caught my attention. So it was really cool in some way to see that, and to see that my emotions were provoked.
At least it was emotional, it was provoking. Probably not
It's
just my kind of taste. It was too cynical. I've got the picture in mind. I can hear the soundtrack. Yes, as a picture, so following my 6 or 7 points, I think at least 4 or 5 was a match. Yeah. And then you can say, okay, when it's getting too cynical, people don't learn either.
True.
Because the cynical world is a world which is in the range of expectation. Otherwise, it won't work. You can't be cynical on your own, but you need normally other persons to react on your cynical commands. And that means cynicism can only be understood when two people are more like on the same level. It doesn't go up and down. Showing this clip to a Ukrainian mother who just lost her kid, not a good idea. And not the other way around. So it's just at the same level. And this is the point where expectations meet expectations. And so at the end of it, cynicism is a boring thing. And you don't have to waste time on boring things. There's just repeating cliches. Sometimes funny, but it's not design. Not the way I understand what design could be. Yes?
Thank you so much.
I have a question because you said there is in speculative design a lot of finding signals and trends.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask if there is some kind of, what is the way to really recognize them? Like you have so reliable sources, or you have methods to come to the idea, or you have intuitions. And the second question is, once you find it, there is a way to evaluate or to measure the success of the possible success of it.
Yes. And you can take one of those books. So here's a step-by-step description. How to find signals, how to collect them, and how to bring them from signals to ideas. So this is a quite complicated thing, but well, yeah, if you understand the design thinking process, you can understand the speculative design process. It's not that different. But yes, to most of the students have some problems to understand what a signal is. So we mostly need 2 rounds to explain it. So signal is, goodbye. Signal is, what's the thing? So you may have seen drones used into cleaning up drain pipes under the ground. They're working on that because it's very, very small drones and they can fly into the things. Yes, it's things that happens. And then you can say, okay, I found this idea somewhere in the World Wide Web. There, for those things, is perfect place to find those things. And then you can say, okay, ask, is it a political aspect? Is it environmental aspect? Is there a technical aspect? Is there a political aspect? Is there a legacy aspect? So we get different perspectives to see if this signal somehow interesting. Does it infect other things? Or does it initiate other things? That means to have a flying drone in the drain pipe, you first have to have a drain pipe. And it has to be blocked. Why is it blocked? Is it blocked because you have heavy rains at the moment? Or you have no rains because you raised the 1.5 degrees game. So you go there on the implications, and it's called future wheel. It's a tool. So you get the perspectives, then you get the future wheels, and then you can say again, okay, this is not enough, not fair enough, slow. Let's think how this idea would develop if we live in a totalitarian state, or in a neo-feudalism state, or in a proper democracy, or we live in communism, for example. And then you can say, okay, how would this idea develop? And as designers, we are quite fast. That means you can compute a few hundred signals per day with all those aspects. And if you do it in a group, 10 people, I'll get thousands a day. So it's thousands of the signals of those possible scenarios. And then you discuss it, and you will easily find, oh, this is probably from your guts, where you say, well, this is interesting. There are so many aspects on it. Let's go deeper. And then you go over, like a design tool, go over and over and over and over. Repeat. Did this answer your question? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. One question, are we over time already? Yeah, timekeeping is not my actually. A little bit? All right, okay, so I suggest to stop it here, although there would be a lot of other questions. I think that some of you have the chance to discuss them or raise them tomorrow in the workshop. Or we have the opportunity to discuss them maybe afterwards a little bit outside. We have a get-together or something. Do we? Yes. Okay, yeah. All right, we do have a get-together
yes.
afterwards, so we can continue the discussion outside with a drink. So
Great.
thank you very much for your questions. Thank you for the presentation. It was very inspiring. Thank you very much. And thanks for the chocolate.
Ah, kom hier, daarom. Hop.